Hi and welcome back to PDA Dad UK. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about my own mental health, my own perspectives, and the challenging times I've had over recent months. And the reason I haven't been posting that much to YouTube lately, which is about to change, but I wanted to be open and honest with you guys and fill you in on where I'm at. So as I say, welcome back to PDA Dad UK. Before I go on, please go hit like, hit subscribe, ring the bell. You'll always know when I've got new content coming up. Please do go put something in the comments, something nice as well. Just helps lift this and helps more people see it as needed. As I said before, I wanted to talk to you guys about where I'm at in my mental health. I haven't been putting up an awful lot of posts lately, and there have been a few reasons for that. And I wanted to explain to you why that is, but also to try and share, and if anything, we need to destigmatise the issues of mental health. And I think particularly for, often us blokes, and, being generalising to a degree there, but we don't share enough. I think we often, we get caught up in this, what it is to be, a tough guy or, alpha male crap that's out there, and we can't be open about where we're at. And I want to sort of change that conversation and actually make it a conversation. I've been really struggling lately. I often find the period leading up to and during the summer holidays particularly stressful. It's an intense time. It's where my kids are home 24/7 for, what turns out to be 7 weeks when you add in all the inset days and all the stuff they like to add in for that with the different schools and the fact that they are at different schools. And I find it a very intense time, and it's an expensive time. And so all these little things, and you remember I spoke a little while back about the mental health mixing desk, and it's something that it really has helped me to understand where I'm at through this. So I'll put links up in the description to that and you can check that out. But, a brief overview of what that was saying is that rather than looking at life as one constant line going up and down, and we tend to think of it like that, don't we? It's a middle line, and that's when we're at our best. And you have your highs and you have your lows. What the mental health mixing desk is a great metaphor for. There's so many different factors to our life. So it can be our friends, family, home life. It could be work. It can be school. It can be, all the different things, relationships. It can be financial pressures. It can be, what's going on in the world around us. All these different things make up different sliders on a mixing desk. Or if you remember the old sort of 80s, 90s stereo systems, the good ones all had a graphic equalizer, and it's the same sort of thing, different elements, and you get it perfect, and you've got that green zone where everything's right. But all it takes is for one of those to get knocked out of position, and it throws everything else off. And when I'm in this situation where I know it's the holidays, I know it's coming up, I know it's going to be intense, I know it's going to be expensive, these are all little things that are just nudging different sliders out of their green zone. The financial pressures, knowing that we've got to afford to be able to do things through the holiday to keep the kids entertained, to keep us sane and so on. The extra food because they're not eating at school, they're not occupied, they're snacking a lot more. The stresses of having them together a lot, kids are kids, siblings are siblings, and we all know what siblings are like. They at each other's throats from time to time, and it can just be more and more and more challenging. And that's certainly what we face. And all these things knocked out. And we had a situation where once we'd returned to school, my son had an incident with one of his mates, and no need to go into details of it, but what it did was his friend's dad is actually a good friend of mine, and it knocked onto my own personal relationships. And I really value my friendships, especially when you're a carer, when you're in this send world, you can feel very isolated, and the friends that you have become that much more valuable. So when something that you're out of control of puts a strain on a friendship, or for me, when something puts a strain on one of my friendships, I end up going down this dark path, and it knocks that slider. And it doesn't have to be a lot, it just knocks it slightly up, but it puts everything else out of perspective. And I've really been struggling from a personal perspective with getting that into balance and trying to get the sliders back where they are. And sometimes you can't. This situation where I've got a relationship with a friend that's made it far more challenging. I can't put that right until my friend is ready to put that right, and that puts me at his disposal, if you like. My well-being depends on him in many ways So how do I go about making that something that I can work with? It means I've had to adjust other things so that the mix is right. I've been doing a uni course on peer support work, so being able to help others who've been through similar situations to what I have with my family and my life. And we were talking about the medical model versus the social model for things like diagnosis of different neurodivergencies, but general life as well. And there's a very clinical medical model. When you come to depression, there's a medical model, and you can get into the science of it. And basically, I've had that explained. I'd always been someone who didn't like the idea of necessarily taking a medication because I was feeling low. It's different now, but certainly 10, 15 years ago there was this sort of habit that, oh, you're looking depressed, here, take some pills and get you out of the door. And I found that very unhelpful. You can't put a band-aid on a huge knife wound. You've got to have proper treatment, and it felt like a lot of that was what was taking place for that sort of attitude of just throwing meds at it. We're definitely swinging towards a more social model for dealing with depression, for dealing with mental health. And that can be a really healthy thing. It's, looking at peer support, other people who can talk to you who've been through what you've been through, putting those things right, starting to get personal plans in place to try and improve your own thought processes, your things like self-talk. I know when I'm in a low place, my self-talk goes down. If you know what I mean by that, it's I will talk to myself as being an idiot. Oh, you're an idiot. Why have you done that? You're so useless. And those things creep in, and that self-talk gets really low. It's important that we can talk to ourselves and be loving towards ourselves as well. I know it's a awfully sort of hippie, peace, love and mung beans type thing, but it's so true. We need to be loving towards ourselves. We need to be forgiving towards ourselves, and we need to give ourselves space. And we've talked about it so many times in this on this channel, and how being self-caring isn't selfish. And I've had to sort of take that knowledge on and apply it to myself. How do I be self-caring in this situation? The first step, we were talking about this in this conversation we were having at this course I'm doing, and they were saying, how much better the social model is. But I have this belief, and we talked about it, and actually everyone ended up agreeing. There's a pendulum, isn't there? And we can pendulum towards one side, the medical model. We can swing the pendulum towards the other side, which is the social model. Really, I think things are often better when the pendulum sits kind of in the middle, maybe, slight to either side. But the reality is, I would personally not be able to deal with the personal things I need to deal with, the social model side of things, if I wasn't dealing with the chemical side of things. And the doctor has previously explained to me, it's like when you're in a situation where you're low on vitamins. If you're low on vitamin C, your immune system isn't working, what do? Well, you go and you get some vitamin C pills and you start taking them. And it helps repair your immune system, which then helps you repair your body, and you go on. In the brain, when you hit depression, if there's been a lot going on, and there's been a lot going on, it's not that I have a depressive personality. No problem if that's the case for somebody. For me, it's not something I have a condition that would affect that. It's just simply life builds up and builds up and builds up, and you get all these pressures. Family health, family needs, the intensity of the holidays, the financial stress, all these things pile up, and there's chemicals in your brain that join the synapses basically and help them communicate and help you to process things. And as that's getting used more, it's kind of like insulin for a diabetic. With diabetes, the insulin isn't produced by the pancreas enough, and so the amount needed isn't there, so they have to top it up with insulin shots. It's the same with the brain. When you're in that place and those chemicals aren't there, really what I needed to do was replace those chemicals so that my brain can start functioning in a way that allows me to then deal with the social side, go to the social model and actually start dealing with the problems. There's a treatment for the symptoms, if you like, which is there's not enough chemical flowing around in my brain that allows me to overcome these things. But I need to then look at what the root causes are and how I can adjust that. And it's been a real challenge. And I've been incredibly blessed. I've got a fantastic community around me, largely online, but there are people who reached out to me and could see I was struggling a bit and made the time to check that I was okay and check in on me. And I think it's so important to have that. And it's different for everybody. Some people need to really withdraw in those times, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. For me, it would be. If I'm withdrawing too much, it's a real indicator that something's really not right with where I'm at. If I'm not making the attempts to see friends, to talk to people, if I'm becoming more and more lethargic in my own life, I guess, which, this is why I haven't been posting that much. The effort of recording, talking, editing, getting it up online, doing all of the tagging and all the kind of stuff you have to do when you're dealing with YouTube and stuff like that. It's all necessary to make these things work. To use a classic autistic phrase that's brilliant, is that I just didn't have the spoons. So the theory of the spoons is that you've got a drawer full of spoons and you've got so many spoons that you can use. Once you start running out of spoons, then you're what are you going to do? There aren't enough spoons left. You've got to go do some washing up and get the spoons back in there. Recharging a battery would be another way of looking at it. My battery was just running so low, I didn't have the power to get myself into a place where I thought I could get back on and start doing my videos again. And I'm very fortunate. As I say, I had a lot of people reach out, and last week I was really privileged to attend the Test Send show in London and speak at that, and help be one of the organisers of the Parent Carer Teacher Forum they have there. Fantastic few days. It's just so encouraging when you see educators who care about SEND enough that they want to take time out to learn more and be better at supporting those who have SEND needs in education. It's a fantastic thing. It was really nice because a few times people come up and said, "Oh, I watch your videos, love what you do, it's really helped me." I've talked before about love languages. My primary love language is words of affirmation. And I really feel that. So when I've got people telling me what a great job I'm doing or that it's helped them, I feel that rush of endorphin, if you like. It really sets me off in a really positive place, and I feel that. And it's spurring me to, I've got to get back into this. This is, for people, is helping, and that means so much to me. The fact that people watch this and they're getting something from it and it's actually helping them, I love that. And it means the world to me. So, yeah, it spurred me to do this. And I wanted to explain, I've managed to get some interviews which I'm going to be sorting out over the next couple of weeks, and they'll be coming on. But I wanted to really let you guys know how much I value you. The reason I do this is because it helps people, and that's my primary motivation. But what I love is that it goes both ways, and what I get back from doing this is just as important, and I love that. I really value each and every one of you. What I want to say is that if you're struggling, if you are where I've been, where I'm still at, and it's, this is I'm on the meds, the doctor's given me some antidepressants to help me through this. But what I've got to make sure is that I'm taking care of the actual root causes, not just treating the symptoms. And for me, that's really been, getting back into this, talking to people, making the effort to reach out and allowing myself to be a bit vulnerable. It's so important. Unless we discuss these things, unless we open up those doors, allow ourselves that vulnerability, we aren't going to see change in this, and people are going to continue to struggle. And I think in the world as it is at the moment, there's been so much news in the last couple of weeks that, again, it's another slider. What's happening in the world on that mental health mixing desk massively affects things. You get worried about, are there wars going to happen? How is this going to impact us? We've got cost of living crisis, governments coming in and out and making decisions that we don't agree with or we do agree with, and oil and climate change, and there's just so much going on, and it all takes its toll. Unless we start taking care of ourselves and amongst that, we won't cope, we won't carry on. And we've seen a huge rise in the incidence of mental health issues taking place in the UK especially, but I think across the world. Talk about it, reach out to, there's so many charities, I'll put links in the description for them. There's so many places out there that will help. Reach out, talk to friends. Make sure you're reaching out to your friends, just showing that love and care. And if we can reach out to people and say, hey, how you doing? Like people did for me, it makes a world of difference. That's what I want to say. I just wanted to give that explanation about why it's been a bit quiet on the channel, but that will be changing. You guys mean the world, and I wanted to be honest, open with you and let you know where I'm at. Please do hit like, hit subscribe, ring the bell. You'll always know when there's new content coming up. And if you've got anything you want to share, if there's anything you want to say, please chuck it in the comments. It makes a world of difference. And I do read and try and respond to every single one of them. I will see you again on the next episode. In the meantime, please do stay safe.